Darling, I'm sorry that I've been gone from home a very long time. And this season, like all seasons before, will soon be over and I will come home. My clients and I have experienced adventures that most people will only ever dream about. We've rode snowmobiles through the vast Alaskan wilderness and stood in awe of Denali on a bright sunny day. I've flown with some of the best pilots in Alaska and landed Super Cubs on rivers, gravel bars, snow, and rocky strips. We've slept in frozen, snowy camps and hot, sunny river bottoms. I've snowshoed for grizzly high in the Alaska range, and I've witnessed a migration of caribou and seen Dall sheep on the same day. I've landed a king salmon on light tackle and been closer than I'd like to huge coastal grizzlies. I've experienced victory and defeat. I've seen the changing seasons in a way that is only possible in Alaska. And while I've been gone a very long time, it was worth it. And we caught it all on camera. And I can hardly wait to share it with you.
Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Steiner Optics, CVA and Bergara Custom Barrels and Rifles, UDAP Bear Pepper Spray, Corbon Ammunition, Marathon Seat Covers, and Burris Optics and the family of Eliminator Laser Scopes. This episode has been brought to you in part by the new DeLorme InReach. Stay safe, stay in touch, and stay in reach.
This is the first episode in a 6-show series that we called the Alaska Adventure Series. It's a documentary of a season in Alaska with Steve's Outdoor Adventures and some of our clients, where we're hunting for some of Alaska's most desired trophies and some of North America's most feared predators. We started in April in the high mountain passes and deep snow, pursuing grizzlies as they emerge from their dens. Then we return in June when it's hot and sandy down in the river bottoms. And then we come back in the fall and hunt the Northern Brooks Range and experience an early winter and some amazing hunting adventures that could only be captured on film and found in Alaska. We share with you our victories and defeats, our highs and our lows, and our personal experiences in hopes that we can inspire you to go to Alaska in search of your own adventure. I sincerely hope that you enjoy these shows. I was asked why I filmed the Alaska Adventure Series, and the answer was pretty simple. I wanted to bring something to outdoor programming other than whitetail hunting. And really, there was no better place for me to go in search of true adventure than Alaska. And then I decided to take it one step further and bring some of my clients into the program so that they could inspire the viewers, and hopefully everybody at home understands anybody can go to Alaska. Everybody can go there and enjoy this wonderful state and its amazing beauty, raw wilderness, and awesome wildlife. Deciding who my field producers and videographers were going to be was extremely important. I wanted to bring some young, fresh minds and eyes into the field with some high-end equipment and film things in a way that we never have before. And I decided to hire Ian Majak as our field producer for this trip. He is an advanced editor, videographer, photographer, and he became a very key member of the Steve's Outdoor Adventure staff over the course of this year.
I mean, it was a phenomenal adventure. It's Alaska, you know? I mean, having the opportunity to work up there, that's, you know, a once in a lifetime deal. So every day you wake up and you're just like, you know, have to be a team, you have to stick together, and you have to make the whole thing work. I mean, it's a rush, it's a challenge, and it's a rush. You just do the best you can to document, you know, this Alaska Adventure Series.
We decided to bring Dan Lee on as our primary videographer because not only has Dan worked for us in the past and understand how to run the XD cams, but he's also an Alaskan resident who understands what it's like to live in the Alaskan wilderness during some of the most harsh times of the year, the early spring, the late fall. This guy understands that you have to be prepared and you have to be hardy and you have to be willing to stay out there in the field under some of the most harsh conditions. Sam Solholt was our secondary cameraman for this series, and not only is Sam in excellent physical condition, but he has a very good eye for capturing the story as it unfolds in the camera. He is an excellent hand to have around camp, and he was a very valuable member of our team as the series wore on. The clients we chose to film on this trip were Danny MacArthur from Alberta, Canada, Jerry Monk from Utah, and Floyd Brown from Odessa, Texas. These three gentlemen are well-traveled, experienced hunters that were a joy to be around.
See where Steve and his clients are hunting when we return from this short commercial break.
Follow Steve's Outdoor Adventures on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with all the latest events and get live updates from the field. When I was planning what we would film this season, I decided that I wanted to show you, the viewers, all of the changing seasons in Alaska. And over the course of this series, you're going to see early snowy spring transition to warm, sunny, late spring into hot, sunny summer, and then turn into a beautiful fall and even a little bit of early winter. We couldn't hit all of the hot destinations in Alaska, but we hit some of the best adventurous locations possible. In April, we hunted up real high in the Alaska range in these snowy mountain passes. And the idea was that when the sun came out, the bears would start digging out of their dens, and then we would be able to find them, stalk them, and hopefully get them. The conditions were absolutely harsh, but any of you who followed along in social media and on Facebook and Twitter saw our posts from our DeLorme InReach and could actually look on our map share page and see exactly where we were. It was an amazing adventure and it was a lot of fun, but it was also very trying because we had to be patient. The weather was atrocious this spring. In June, we came back and hunted the river bottoms directly below where we'd been hunting in April. The hope was that we'd find brown bears and black bears that were searching the creeks and streams for the salmon that would soon be spawning. In July, we returned to Alaska and went fishing on the Naknek River while we filmed some post-production. We jumped in an airplane one afternoon and flew up to the Katmai National Park to see the bears at Brooks Falls. That's an amazing sight that everybody should experience in their lifetime. It's one of the few places where you can truly interact with the grizzly bears. And when fall finally arrived, we headed to the northern Brooks Range in search of grizzlies and caribou. We experienced some of the wildest weather that we've ever seen in Alaska, and it turned out to be one of the best hunting adventures I've ever been on. Jeremy Rusink was our guide during the April and June hunting trips, and combined with the efforts of registered guides and pilots Stephen Hicks and Doug Zweifel and Joe Schuster's Sportsman's Air, we were able to get into and out of the backcountry reliably, and we were always well organized and well supplied. Jeremy's one of those guides that is extremely fit. This guy can climb any mountain, and it seems like he never gets tired. He's also got great equipment. He's also very well organized. We had great meal planning, and it seemed like we never wanted for anything while we were out there. When we returned in July, I connected with registered guide Phil Bird and stayed at his Bristol Bay retreat. We weren't there just to fish. He and I were also discussing the plans for the following month's trip to his area in the Northern Brooks Range. Phil is also well organized. He's got 2 Super Cubs, a great staff of guides and packers and assistants, and he's probably got one of the best areas in the Northern Brooks Range. And he knows exactly how to get people into the right places, in the right camps, with the right guides so that they can be successful. After reviewing all of the applications and resumes that we'd received for the April hunts, I decided on Jerry Monk and Danny MacArthur. These are 2 very well-traveled and experienced hunters that I knew could get it done at the moment of truth. In June, I decided to return alone and just hunt with Jeremy. It was a new area that we didn't have a lot of experience in, but we wanted to recon, and I didn't want the pressures of having a client along. On the hunt in August, I really hadn't decided on an individual client to feature in our programming, but Floyd Brown was booked into the camp, and after meeting him and spending some time getting to know him and realizing that he was a 75-year-old adventure hunter, there was no way I wasn't going to film his quest for an Arctic grizzly.
This segment is sponsored by Lights Out Trail Camera by Wild Game Innovations. The Sportsman's Guide, the largest supply of name brand hunting gear at closeout prices.
When I decided to film clients for this adventure series, I needed to come up with a way that was fair to decide who to take. Because let's face it, hundreds of people wanted to go and be filmed, but not everybody's really cut out to be on film. So I made a post into social media, both on Facebook and Twitter, asking people who were interested to email us their hunting resume along with a short application. We received hundreds of applicants, and I spent a lot of time reviewing them, and it was a very tough decision on who I was going to take. I chose Jerry Monk from Utah because his hunting resume was extensive. He had experience in Alaska. He had taken 2 of the 4 species of North American sheep. I knew this guy was a deadly hunter when it came right down to making the shot count.
I was just excited. I really didn't know what sort of adventure I was in for. Hadn't done spring bear hunting, especially in Alaska. And I'm just I like adventures like that, something new and different, and something you do your homework on. And so I was excited to go.
I chose Danny MacArthur as the second hunter for the Alaska Adventure Series because he is an accomplished hunter. He's taken bighorn sheep, he's hunted the Rocky Mountains of Canada. Danny was going to be there to get the job done when we got to the top of the mountain. In fact, he probably turned out to be the client we had this year that was in absolutely the best physical condition.
Alaska's Alaska. It's kind of that wilderness, and it's always been a dream of mine. I had an opportunity to go on this bear hunt, and it was all I thought it was going to be, and more. Yeah, it was just an unbelievable experience.
Floyd Brown was a late decision when it came to filming for the Alaska Adventure Series. This guy had booked this hunt with us to go after an Arctic grizzly, and I knew that I had to film him because if a 75-year-old adventure hunter can't inspire others to go to Alaska in search of their own adventure, nobody can.
I made arrangements with Steve West with Outdoor Adventures to make this hunt, and he was right there filming it and also making it happen for me, and I appreciate that. He's a good hunter.
Closed captioning for Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Kershaw Knives.
We all know what could happen if a firearm is left unsecured, and by using proper storage techniques, accidents can be avoided. Like many things in life, owning a firearm comes with responsibility. The safe storage message from the NRA is clear. Always store your firearm so that it's inaccessible to unauthorized persons. And by securing your firearm, you can keep it out of unwanted hands. And there are lots of ways to make your firearm safe. It's time for every firearm owner to store their gun safely.
This gun safety message has been approved by the NRA and brought to you by Stack On.
When you're going to be hunting in the wilderness of Alaska, one of the most important things that you have to consider is communication. How are you going to be in touch with your pilots? How are you going to schedule drop-offs and resupplies and getting clients into and out of camp? So we had to be able to exchange messages and discuss things back and forth, and we decided on two forms of communication. First, our primary communications were going to be done using the new DeLorme inReach and the new inReach SE. We could send two-way messaging back and forth between ourselves, my office, the pilots, the outfitters, the guides. This was critical for being able to resupply, schedule flights into and out of camps, drop off clients, pick up clients. There were a lot of things we were able to get done with the inReach. The second form of communication I decided to take with me into the field on every leg of the adventure series was an Iridium satellite phone. Now, I went ahead and rented this from Anchorage Satellite Phones and took it with me because while the inReach and the inReach SE were able to handle 90% of my communication needs, there's just some things you can say with text and there's others that require picking up the phone. During the early spring hunt in April, we actually used 3 different kinds of airplanes that were all on skis, used for landing, of course, on snow. On the initial trip in, we used Regal Air's 206 on skis to carry a handful of people, but a tremendous amount of gear into the base camp and cabin. Now from there we used 3 different Super Cubs to fly both people and small amounts of gear up into our spike camps. During the early spring hunts in April, the Super Cubs were probably our most important piece of equipment. When it was all over with, I picked up the phone, I called Joe Schuster down at Sportsman's Air, had him fly in with his big Beaver on skis to pick us up and bring the whole load out in one trip. Can you pressure wash the inside of your truck out? Probably not. Not unless you have Marathon seat covers.
Go to the Outdoor Channel website and enter to win a set of Marathon seat covers, a proud sponsor of Steve's Outdoor Adventures. After the break, Steve and his clients head into the field and get the spring grizzly season started. Wheeler Engineering Delta Series, the most comprehensive line of AR tools available. Steve's Outdoor Adventures is sponsored by Steiner Optics, CVA, Bergara Custom Barrels and Rifles, UDAP Bear Pepper Spray, Kershaw Knives, Corbon Ammunition, Marathon Seat Covers, the new DeLorme inReach, and Burris Optics and the family of Eliminator Laser Scopes.
If you'd like to book this hunt for yourself, give my office a call. The toll-free number and website address are listed at the bottom of the screen. And I'm always available to take your calls and answer your questions and personally help you book the hunting or fishing trip of a lifetime.
When the weather broke, Steve and his production crew checked out of the Millennium Hotel and headed to the airport for the flight to base camp.
The plan was for me to fly in 10 days ahead of everybody else and start hunting. This way, I could lay the groundwork for my clients who would be coming in later.
After arriving at base camp, Steve quickly unpacked his gear and set up a target to check his rifle's zero.
Even though bears typically den up real high on the mountains, once in a while one will den up down low. So Jeremy and I, we checked every mountainside, river bottom, creek, anything we could within 30 miles of the cabin, and the pilots did everything they could to find a bear den, searching thousands of square miles of the vast Alaskan wilderness.
While Steve and Jeremy rode the river bottoms on snowmobiles, their pilots scouted hundreds of square miles of Alaskan wilderness in search of open bear dens. With cold temperatures keeping the bears in their dens, Steve's attention turns to his incoming clients. He needs warmer weather, and fast.
Unfortunately, during my initial 10 days, the bears just weren't popping out. But the temperatures were warming up the day that the clients arrived, and I was glad to see some sunshine.
With the clients in base camp, the pilots fueled up and took off to fly the high country to search for open bear dens. With the warm sun out, it was just a matter of time before the bears started digging out of their winter holes.
On the day that Jerry and Dan arrived, temperatures were in the 40s. It was amazing. The snow was starting to melt down in the river bottom, and I knew it was only a matter of time before the pilots came back with the report that they had spotted some bears. So we went ahead and got their gear ready to go out to a spike camp. We grabbed the rifles and headed over to the bench and set up a target and got them shooting the guns. I wanted these guys 100% confident with those rifles before we headed out to spike camp and started chasing grizzlies. Bullseye. Bullseye. It was a pleasure to see a couple guys that can shoot. We ran them out here, threw the guns up on the bench. They both picked one and shot nothing but bullseyes. When the bears come out and we get on them, it's over for them. I mean, it's a pleasure to get guys out that can straight up shoot, and that's the case here. So we're gonna get some supper. Tomorrow's a new day. Unfortunately, we've run out of time in today's show, but as you can see, the action's starting to heat up. And next week, Jerry and Dan are in the High Mountain Pass spike camps. The grizzlies are popping out of their dens, and it's some of the best adventure video ever filmed in Alaska. You won't want to miss it.
As the sun set on their warmest day of the spring, the hunters could sense that conditions were prime, and as fate would have it, the pilots returned the next day with news of several open bear dens, and they were off to spike camp. But that's a story for next week's show.